What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So even though it's still very early in the season, not a single team has played 10 games at this point, some new acquisitions from this offseason have either played fantastic and it looks like it's going to continue that way, or have really struggled out of the gate and their teams might already be regretting acquiring those players. So today I wanted to run through 5 of the best and the worst acquisitions from this offseason thus far based on how I think these guys are going to continue it. There's some guys like Paul Cotter or like Mark Kastelik that have had very good starts. I don't think they're going to continue that. They're bottom 6 forwards through and through. We're going to go through some of the guys that are on decently competitive teams that are either struggling a decent amount and the underlying numbers suggest that might continue, or guys that are absolutely balling out. So let's not waste any time. Up first, we have Anthony Stolarz of the Toronto Maple Leafs. He had a .925 last year with the Florida Panthers. And you think about all these teams that are having goaltending issues. He only landed a 2-year, $2.5 million contract with the Toronto Maple Leafs. And 2 seasons ago, he had a .918 with the Anaheim Ducks. And he has really stepped up. Once Joseph Woll went down, you thought this is going to be a disaster. Stolarz could have gave you 30 to 35 games of very good play, but he's not a legit one. He's never played more than like 30 games in a season. He's been awesome thus far. 3-2 record, but that's kind of misleading considering his first game. He only allowed 1 goal. Montembeault just played out of his mind. A 3-2 record with a .938, 1.85 goals against average, and 5.3 goals saved above expected. He has been a legit top 5 goalie in the entire NHL to start this season, and now that Joseph Woll is hopefully getting back, I don't think it's ridiculous to say that this goalie tandem in Toronto is a top 10 goalie tandem in the NHL. Maybe they don't have that one consistent starter, but they have two very good 1Bs, I guess. And I think Joseph Woll is going to maybe take another step this year. So Anthony Stolarz, 2 years, $2.5 million. It's not just a 1-year deal. They also got him next year as well, and he's not that old. He's like 30 years old. Great signing as of right now for Brad Treliving. In terms of our first worst, we're going to go over to Nashville. We're not going to go with Steven Stamkos, though, considering the fact that although he only has 1 goal, his underlying numbers are actually pretty solid. I think that he's going to bounce back. He's not going to score like 25 goals this season. I'm going to go with Brady Shay, though, the defenseman that landed the 7-year deal at $7 million per. 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points in 6 games right now, which isn't horrendous for a defenseman. But when looking at it, he's kind of getting caved in at 5-on-5 play. He has a 44.6 expected goals percentage at 5-on-5 versus 56.2% when he's off the ice. When he's not playing for the Nashville Predators, they've been a pretty good team, but with him on the ice at 5-on-5, it has not gone that well. And especially considering the fact Stamkos is only a 4-year deal. Marchessault is only a 4-year deal. And although that Shea is younger than those guys, he's outside of that Carolina Hurricanes system right now. And he's in the first year of a 7-year deal at $7 million. He's not close to a $7 million defenseman right now. Not saying he's going to continue playing this bad, but it is definitely concerning right now with that term in that high AAV to be the legit number 2 for Nashville. If he doesn't turn it around quick, Nashville can kind of kiss their playoff chances goodbye. And part of this start is because Brady Shay has been pretty underwhelming for the Nashville Predators. Our next best move from this most recent offseason, it's got to be Philip Broberg based on how good he's looked. Yes, he got a hefty 2-year, $4.6 million or 4.58, whatever, 4.6 rounded up offer sheet. They gave up a 2nd-round pick. We thought it was a little bit of an overpayment. I like the idea of going aggressive and going young, but still, definitely looked like too much money in the intermediary. He's been great thus far. 6 points in 7 games, as well as being a +5. I think in his last game, he allowed his first goal that he was on the ice at 5-on-5. The underlying numbers aren't amazing with him and Justin Folk, but we saw the flashes of his overall skating. The skating has always been there, but more so of his decision-making, playmaking kind of shine in that Stanley Cup final, and it is definitely shining right now for the St. Louis Blues. Do I think he's going to keep this up and go for 50 points this season? No, but I think he can be a very good second pair defenseman for the St. Louis Blues for the next 6 to 8 years. So we kind of mocked this. You definitely thought it was an overpayment considering the fact he gave up a 2nd-round pick and maybe double what we thought in terms of AAV. But right now, it's looking very good for Doug Armstrong. You got to admit that this is panning out very well for the St. Louis Blues that needed massive help with their blue line. The next worst one, Tanner Jano, 1 goal, 0 assists, 1 point in 7 games right now. They gave up a 2nd and a 4th-round pick at the draft to get this guy, a 4th-liner who last year had 14 points in 55 games. The writing was on the wall. His rookie year when he had like 17 and 17 or something like, or was it like 20 and 20? That was a fluke. That was definitely a fluke. He somehow got traded for a first through fifth to Tampa, but the fact that Tampa was able to offload him, why LA gave up that much to even get him at the draft, considering the fact that he was making like a hefty $2.6 million this season. It wasn't like he was this dirt cheap guy in a minimum that you thought you could have got good value. He's a legit fourth liner playing 11 minutes right now and not producing at all. Yes, maybe he hits a lot, but at $2.6 million, it is looking brutal. And I also could have added Warren Fogle to this. That's $6 million to those players for right now, one goal, or I think maybe two points in like 14 games combined. It is looking pretty brutal in terms of the LA Kings forward acquisitions. In terms of another best, you got to go with Jacob Tricken. 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points in 6 games right now. They only gave up Nick Jensen, who's 33, 34 years old, and he's a decent fit in Ottawa. But Nick Jensen in a 3rd round pick was a massive talent upgrade, and he has really fit in as being that John Carlson partner. When looking at it, they are outscoring opponents right now 8-1 in terms of 5-on-5 play. They have the most goals for by a pair outside of the Devils pair, but they've played Devils top pair of Dougie Hamilton and Brendan Dillon, but they've played 9 games. So when looking at it, they have been probably the best offensive pair in the NHL while also locking it up defensively. And even the underlying numbers are also very solid. They have a 54.8% expected goals percentage. Chychrun had a down year last year in Toronto, but he is looking like that early on Arizona Coyotes guy, and it will not surprise me one bit if by the end of the season we're talking about him being in those top 30 in the entire NHL discussions. This guy has always been just your prototypical good top pair two-way guy, and he's really showing it yet again on the Washington Capitals this season. In terms of our 3rd worst move from this most recent offseason, it's another 4th liner, Beck Malenstein, who got traded for a 2nd round pick, 43rd overall, pretty high up in the 2nd round. He has 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points in 8 games right now. He's only playing $8.28 a night, and he's 26 years old. He only had 1 full year of NHL experience before that, when he was like, he was again a bottom 6er, probably 4th liner. He only had 21 points. He's making $1.3 million. They gave up a 2nd round pick. Granted, his only 2 points that he scored were in the last 2 games. Maybe he's catching fire, but he has only eclipsed 10 minutes in a game twice this season through 8 games. I don't know why they gave up a 2nd round pick in the moment. I thought that they would utilize him more. That is not the case. Right now, I really don't get that move. Not saying the 43rd overall pick is some insane value, but you could have got far better players. We're going to talk about a player next up that only went for a 2nd round pick. Granted, had a higher cap hit, but has been far more effective. And that player is Riley Smith of the New York Rangers. 2 goals, 4 assists, 6 points in 6 games. Not a superstar right wing that New York Ranger fans maybe wanted to solve that first line problem. And it's crazy that Kreider and Zibanejad were having problems, but he's not like a Pavel Buchnevich that they wanted, that kind of reunion, but he has been very effective in terms of working with these 2 guys. They've outscored opponents thus far 3-1 at 5-on-5. 5 out of Riley Smith's 6 points on the season are from even strength. He's just the ideal 200-foot player that knows his role with guys like Zibanejad and Kreider, knows their strengths and weaknesses, plays to that, a veteran in every sense of the word, Stanley Cup champion. So when looking at it, Riley Smith has been very effective. Not the sexy pickup that the New York Rangers fans wanted, but he has been damn good at only a $3.75 million cap hit, considering they got them to retain like 25%. It has been a very good deal by Chris Drury thus far. My 4th worst move is Nikita Zadorov. 3 assists in 7 games, which sounds pretty good, and it is pretty good offensively, but he's taken a penalty every single game this season. Every single game, he was taking a minor penalty. He has 21 penalty minutes total. And yeah, he hits a lot, but he is a massive liability out there in terms of penalties. I do not like this deal. I didn't like this deal in the moment, given the term, but considering the fact that he's a walking liability right now, 5 years left after this at $5 million, I didn't like it that much, and I don't like it now, considering all my fears about him just being a big dude that hits but is absolutely reckless out there is kind of coming true. And then my last best move from the offseason, it is another goalie. We started with a goalie. We're going to finish on a goalie. Kevin Lankinen. When looking at it, Kevin Lankinen, again, we go back to talking about how some of these teams had massive goaltending issues coming into the season. This guy had a 916 in 2023 and a 908 in 2024 on like perfectly average, above average Nashville Predators teams. He didn't get snagged until late summer. The Canucks decided to pick him up because Demko wasn't going to be ready at the start of the season. Shilovs was still very unproven. Silovs kind of struggled out the gate, especially his first game against the Flames. Lankinen has stepped up in a massive way. 3 wins, 1 overtime shootout loss with a 940, 1.7 goals against average, and 3.7 goals saved above expected. Can he do this throughout the entire season? Probably not, but considering the fact that he's bridging that gap until Demko gets there with legit Vezina level play right now, it was very smart by Allvin to go out and get somewhat of a veteran goaltender that had been playing good again the last 2 years, had a combined 9-12 over those 2 seasons. It's crazy that he was even available at that point, but it is looking very good by the Canucks. If it was just Shilovs and some other guy, I don't even know who their other goaltender could be, they could be in a far worse spot right now and be in a little bit of a hole, but now they have a 66% points percentage right now and are looking yet again to safely make the playoffs. And then the final worst move, Joel Edinson, 4 years, $3.85 million. Didn't like it in the moment. He has 2 points in 5 games, but in terms of his impact on the ice, he has a 41.7 goals percentage right now at 5-on-5. The third worst expected goals percentage on the LA Kings at 45.5%. And when he's off the ice, that goes up to 57%. LA is a damn good team. And right now, the guy that he's playing with the most is Brandt Clark, their future franchise defenseman. You want to play him with the guy, a veteran that's a good defenseman or something like that. They're getting outscored 4-1 right now. They have a 36.5% expected goals percentage. He's 31 years old and he still has 3 years left after this at around $4 million. Again, not some massive cap hit, but a pretty sizable cap hit for a guy that is just hits and isn't even that good defensively at this point. It's not looking good for the LA Kings, who I put him twice on this list, and you can argue Warren Fogle maybe should be on this list as well. One guy I do want to shout out, and maybe should have done 6 best. Shane Gothisbehere, 4 goals, 1 assist, 5 points in 5 games right now. A 3-year, $3.2 million deal, especially considering a guy like Brady Shay that hit free agency and is struggling right now. Looks like that they made the right decision in Carolina in terms of bringing in a guy like Gothisbehere and Sean Walker instead of paying big money for Pesce and Shay and then maybe losing out on someone else. But let me know in the comments, what do you think about this? Am I forgetting anybody in terms of the best and worst of the offseason? I'm sure I might be forgetting someone that's either playing like ass or playing fantastic. But let me know in the comments, what do you think? I'll be seeing you in the next one.